In the starting, in Montauk, New York, Maddie rushes out of her house and sees her ex-boyfriend Gary using a tow truck to take away her car. It turns out she owes property taxes on the house she inherited from her mother, and the source of income is only bartending and Uber, and without the car, there are even few chances of paying the debt. Maddie tries to flirt with him so that she won't lose the car. In the starting, it seems that Gary believes her. Maddie, a late-night guest, comes out of the house where it tries to pretend he's his cousin, but the guy being getting too touchy and Gary leaves with the car, leaving no choice. Maddie put on the rollerblades to go to the work. On the way, she sees Gary tow truck parked at a gas station and Gary buying some food. Seeing this, a chance she quickly unfastened the car from Gary truck and tried to flee away, but she forgot about the extra hook and got stuck there when Gary came out and he calls the police. Moment later, Maddie was bailed by her friend, and she quickly rushes to her job at the bar. She got into a fight with one of the customer. The bar manager intervened and send Maddie away to do something else while folding napkins. Cries about her situation to her pregnant friend Sarah and her husband Jim. At that moment, Sarah finds an advertisement written that two rich parents are looking for a woman in her early 20s to date their introverted 19-year-old son. Mary decided to apply for this, even if she's older. Next day, Maddie went to the family house, which was not easy for her because of the elevated road and the stairs. The Beckers ask some basic questions, and when they learn that Maddie is 32, they hesitate to hire her. But Maddie counters her by saying that if the ad was still up is because all the other young girls failed them. So what they need is someone mature enough that will help their son to gain some confidence for dating and guiding him to become a proper man. Their son Percy is a 19-year-old introvert kid who is socially shy, and doesn't like to talk to anyone. He doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and doesn't go to parties. The parents are worried about your son, and they want to help him to build confidence before he goes off to Princeton. They decided to give the job to Maddie, but on one condition: that Percy must not know the truth. It's natural to make him feel better after borrowing James' old van. Maddie went straight to animal shelter, and she wore a seductive dress, and specifically asked for his help, while pretends to adopt a dog. Percy shows her a dog named Mello, and Maddie keeps on flirting with him, and after that they went to office. There she sat on a couch, which was a little bit too low, and she doesn't cause a good impression but keeps on flirting with him. While Percy keeps on asking questions, but Maddie's behavior make him uncomfortable, and Maddie also offer him a ride back to home. When Percy asked her how she knows that, she answers that it is written on his bag. Maddie follows him to outside, where she saw he is grabbing his bicycle, so she puts the bicycle in the back of her van. While on the road, Maddie tries to make a perfect conversation with Percy, being her hostage. Listing this, Percy getting a little scared, and when Maddie takes a different route, Percy tries to ask for help, but Maddie takes it from him. Moment later, they arrived at Maddie's home. He thought she kidnapped him for real, so he throws pepper spray at her eye. Crying in pain, Maddie explains that she thinks he is hot. Percy can't believe and apologizes quickly and help her to washing her eyes with water hose. In the evening, they met at a bar, and Percy arrives wearing a suit with short pants because of the hot weather. The waitress asked for their order, and Percy tries to get a soda, but Maddie refuses and orders a cocktail for them. Percy spits out. As soon he takes a sip, and Maddie forces him to drink more too, so that he can handle alcohol before going to college. She tries to keep up with the conversation, but was interrupted by one of Maddie's ex-boyfriend and brags Maddie about being married now, and mocks Maddie for ghosting him. Afterwards, they both went to beach for walk. Maddie asked Percy for swimming, but Percy refuses, and an argument ensues to distract him. She started undressing slowly before jumping in the water. Not wanted to be left behind, Percy soon joins her, and Maddie wraps her arms around him. Suddenly, a group of teenagers arrives and made fun of them before stealing their clothes. Maddie yells at them, but the teens don't listen. She comes out of water naked and started beating them up. The teens defends himself, but she slams a guy, scaring the group into leaving, and then Maddie goes back to Percy, but he disapproves Maddie's action of violence, which angers Maddie, and she also tries to get busy with him. But Percy explains he can't do it with strangers and needs to have a connection first. Annoyed, Maddie leaves the water and dresses up before getting into the car, bringing Percy's belonging with her. Naked Percy demands his clothes and phone back, but Maddie only gives him his clothes before driving the car. Desperate, a naked Percy jumps on the hood of the car and keeps asking for his phone, but Maddie still doesn't care and kept driving. While they were on the road, the got cop's attention, and Maddie was worried about losing her license in order to loose police. She dangerously drives in front of the train, and after arriving at home, the she begins a dance for Percy, and when she asked Percy to hit her rear, he doesn't know how, and end up kicking her in the next scene. Maddie tries to dance on his lap, but because of her weight, he was uncomfortable, and they switch the position, moving him like a baby on her lap. And again, when Maddie asked him to do the business, he replied he want to. But because of the nervousness and lack of experience, then, he's suddenly feeling itchy, and Maid raises his shirt. She discovers he got rash caused by his anxiety, but she doesn't judge him and applies some cream over it and make him feel comfortable. And he opens up that he doesn't like to make friends until it's online and don't like to be social. Maddie also told him how she lived in this house her whole life to take care of her sick mom and her dad wasn't around. After sharing moments, they decided to start dating the next few days. They started spending time together on the beach and playing arcade where they tease a kid until they got kicked out. They both enjoy each other company, and Percy became more comfortable around Maddie. He spent his tickets on a beer hat for her, and also gets a finger trap that he tricks her into. Maddie freaks out, but Percy taught her how to get out. They started getting close and shared their memories that how they both didn't attend their prom, and Maddie wants to write a letter to her dad that why he won't visit her. Having this moment, Percy gather the courage and kiss Maddie afterwards. They both go for a walk and bump into one of Percy's friend named Jody, who turns out to be a middle-aged man. Jody notices that they won a frisbee, and he throws it for Percy to go and get it. And when Percy is far away from them, Jody asked Maddie about her intention with Percy and accused her for wanting family money, but Maddie counters her by saying that she only wants to date Percy, and that's all she wanted.
Sometime later, Maddie had a person on her doorstep and act like that they both went to school together and are super close to each other, but soon the truth comes out and the guy is there for house. But Maddie refuses to give up and shut the door, ignoring his legal threats. Later that night, Percy picked up Maddie in a limousine so they could go for a fancy dinner he arranged for them at the restaurant. They chat a little bit, and Percy explains her at in the school he doesn't want anyone to notice her, and if they don't, they won't make fun of him. But Maddie comforts him by saying that they should notice him and realize how good he is. The nervous Percy went to the piano and played a good piano, and everyone there appreciate him. And he returned to table. Here Maddie can't stop appreciating him. Was suddenly interrupted by Natalie, who is family acquaintance, who is also attending Princeton. And seeing this, Maddie immediately getting jealous. Even though Maddie often tries Natalie to leave, but in the end Natalie invited Percy to a party, who is for upcoming Princeton students. After Natalie leaves, Percy told Maddie about his college plans and how they both can meet each other on weekends, but for Maddie long distance will be hard enough and will end and they both sit in very awkward position, and Percy keeps on drinking, which was first time for him. And suddenly Maddie notices they are going in different direction. That is when Percy rebels that they are going to Natalie party. It was Maddie who told him to enjoy his life, so he is doing that only to the party, dropping his flower in his way. And with much hesitation Maddie went inside only to lose him. And when she asked for him, all the youngsters judge him because of her age. And whenever she responds rudely, they threatens her with recording for social media. And when two girls inform her that Percy went upstairs with Natalie, Maddie rushes there and checked every room, getting disappointed that new generation wasn't doing the dirty. At last, she finds a locked room, and when no one answers, she throws herself on the door and hence breaking it. Percy were half dressed. But Natalie swears that nothing happened between them, and Percy also confesses that he consumed something, forces Percy to throw up everything he consumed, but it turns out that he only took medicine for his hunger. At that time the party owner arrives and started arguing with Maddie, but Percy intervenes and tries to punch the owner, but punches Maddie on her neck. Later in the limo, they both comforted each other, and Percy told Maddie that he is ready and take out packs of condoms And while Maddie teaches him, Percy told Maddie that he loves her, and listing this Maddie feels uncomfortable, points out that they shouldn't do because Percy is drunk. On the next day, Percy wakes up with a good mood and his parents can't help but feeling happy for their son, and Percy also won a driving license so he can drive with his girlfriend, and he also decided not to go to Princeton because he wants to stay in Montauk with Maddie. Listing this, they were in shock and tell him to wait for them in the car. Once he is gone, they call Maddie, and who informs them she wants to cancel the deal because Percy is getting too attached, but still his parents insists giving her the car because she helped Percy to come out of the shell. But the last thing they want is to convince Percy to go to the Princeton. Meanwhile, Percy is playing with the technology in the car when he accidentally listened the last conversation and got to know about the truth. He was felt heartbroken, and after thinking about this, Percy invited Maddie for lunch with his parents' knowledge, and when she showed up, they were in shock. Kind of questions which may reveals their secret, but Maddie and the Beckers play along with it. After some time, Percy's friend Crispin showed up, and they both started destroying the car, but the car was tough, so they decided to crash it into a tree, and the tree falls onto the car, finishing the job. When he returned, he went straight to his room, and Maddie follows, and Percy tries to kiss her. She refused with the excuse that his parents could hear, so Percy tries to ask Maddie for the truth, but she keeps lying, and to distract him, she gets frisky with him, only for Percy to done in few seconds, and then he revels that he knows about his parents and her deal. Maddie apologizes, but when he ignores her, she gets mad and tell him that he will never understand what poor people has to do to survive, but Percy replies that she is just wasting her life in that house. After that, Percy confronts his parents and asks them to not to do anything for him and let him succeed or fail on his own, and after that he went back to his usual life of being introvert. Meanwhile, Maddie still get the car, and she uses the car for the Uber. Often clients get worried, but Maddie forces them into the car, and by working hard, she was able to repay her debt, and to celebrate she went outside with Sarah and Jim, who told her that they are moving to Florida because they can't afford house in Montauk, and Maddie was shocked, but Sarah was more upset for her because she is staying despite not living happily. To prove she is happy, she takes a guy home, but she suddenly finds herself trying to know him. Instead of getting frisky, the guy finds Percy's fingertip and tries to use it, but instead of his finger, he uses his banana and end up thrown outside the house. Next day, Mary decided to move on, and she burnt the letter, fixes the car, and decided to sell the house, but wanted to apologize to Percy, but he won't answer his calls. Percy's friends didn't help her, but his parents told her he will be at the Princeton mixture. There she want to apologize him, but he didn't listen and tried to drive his car, but Maddie jumps only the hood of the car and taking inspiration from her past. Percy started driving around and accidentally put Maddie's jacket on fire. Scared, she drives the car into the sea to extinguish the fire, and seeing the moment, Maddie apologizes to him, and he also forgives her. The duo start talking about their future policy. Will go to the Princeton and Maddie will shift to Florida, and they both decided to stay as friend. Sometime later, Maddie sell her house, but in a way that Sarah and Jim can stay here and raise their child here only, and Percy decides to go to Princeton and finds that Maddie is offering him a ride and also told him that she adopted Milo, and all three started a new life. Thanks for watching. Please do like the video and subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to never ever miss any update.